Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of America in Black and White. Tonight, we have a very special guest. We have Cybersecurity Division Chief Dr. Joseph J. Burt-Miller as our guest tonight. Dr. Joseph is a native of Mount Vernon, New York, with a heritage rooted in Jamaica, brings a unique cybersecurity and project management perspective. His approach involves leveraging his deep knowledge to enhance understanding, creating clear avenues for workshops and conversation. This fosters deeper understanding of cybersecurity among teams and partners. His style of government project management is characterized by clear communication and mutual respect, instilling confidence in his effective leadership. Dr. Burt-Miller is a United States Air Force veteran with a wealth of experience in IT, cybersecurity, project management, and cloud-based applications. His career in the United States government spans over 20 years, during which he has served in critical roles at agencies such as the DoD Cybercrime Center, Department of Homeland Security, and currently as a division chief within the National Security Agency. Dr. Burt-Miller's commitment to the cyber community is unwavering. He invests his time and energy into mentoring and leading the DRJJ Study Hall, a platform dedicated to shaping the next generation of cybersecurity professionals. His new podcast, the Cyber Coffee Hour, is a testament to his passion for cybersecurity. In this podcast, he and his co-host, Alfredo B. Nash Jr., intentionally featured guests of all cyber journey stages. The podcast prioritizes the voices of those facing gatekeeping, racism, biases, and other struggles while trying to enter the cybersecurity field. The Cyber Coffee Hour is a unique platform that spreads the cybersecurity gospel by featuring guests with and without a cybersecurity background, with cybersecurity as the common denominator. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce you all to Dr. Joseph. Hello, Dr. Joseph.
Hey, good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm excellent. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Hey, is there anything in addition to that wonderful extensive bio that you'd like to add?
No, I think that was pretty spot on. That was pretty good. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a really in-depth bio. I guess let's just go ahead and let's just dive right into this. Tell us, with your position at NSA, um, can you tell us how did you find your way to NSA?
Okay. It's a bit of an interesting story because the NSA was actually not even on my radar initially. Um, quick story I'll share. So while I was still at DHS, I was pursuing my next role. I was looking to move up and move ahead. And so at that point in time, I was actually applying for positions at CISA, and that's the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency. And it was arduous, I would say. I mean, going through the anyone listening to this will know going through the job application process, updating resume, going to job fairs, what have you, just going through the whole ordeal. But for me, just not being able to get through, and around this point in time, I think I just finished my doctorate, and I remember I put a post out on LinkedIn, just sharing that, and I had someone reach out to me who responded to my post. He's actually a career coach, and so we set up a one-on-one chat, and we were just talking strategy. I just shared with him just where I was, and like I said, I just spent almost nearly a year, trying to apply, trying to move on to the next level, and just not getting through. So he shared this advice with me, stating for me to look at the intelligence agencies, and because his perspective or his strategy was, I can come back, or to take a different path, working my way, maybe go through intelligence agencies, then come back and try CISA again with having that on my resume. And at that point in time, I was very despondent. I was in my mind, I was like, well, if I'm not getting into CISA, how in the world am I getting into CIA or FBI, what have you? So, but at that point, I was like, I'll try anything. So I took his advice. I applied, and I only applied two positions within the NSA, and one of which is the one that I have now. And since then, as I came on board as a cyber engineer, and then recently I was promoted to a division chief within the agency, and I've been here about say a year and a half. So for one, it taught me quite a few lessons. Just taking, being able to be, I think number one, being able to be coachable, being able to listen, to take advice, and also not to take things personal. Don't, try not to be too much in your feelings. I mean, I think we are gonna feel a certain way about things. We are human, but I think you do have to get to a point where, all right, now what's the next thing you got to do? What's the next step? And so when he shared that with me, and again, if we never had that conversation, I would still, I most likely would probably still be at DHS right now, honestly. So he shared that advice with me. I took it, I listened, and like I said, it really just changed the course of my career, and I'm very thankful for that. And so much so, we actually connected. We met up and had a couple drinks together down in the city in Virginia, and really got to really know him, and very cool brother. And I just show my appreciation and just thanking him, because like I said, if you never shared that with me, I probably would still be in the same state as I was before.
Well, something, I understand how those government agencies go because my last employment was with labor, and I was there for 10 years, and that was 10 years too many for me.
Yeah.
It was too much bureaucracy. I couldn't
Wow.
handle it.
Wow. Yeah.
So is it with cybersecurity, and I'm assuming that that also means dealing with AI and building technologies and things of that nature. Are those the things that you've always done?
Not, I would say not professionally. I've had my interest in them, but um, and I'm sorry, I'm trying to think of what I can share. But I guess what I could say is that AI for sure has always, been on my mind. As far as you know, caught my interest. And even if you look back a couple of years ago, where cloud was like the main buzzword, everyone was trying to get in the cloud and having the cloud implementation. So I think AI now is the next big thing right now, and many organizations are working to get that implemented and see how it could work best for their organizations and for the employees. Um, so I could just say yes, it's something that's of high interest of mine. Definitely want to learn more about it. Be just be well read. Like I said, just keeping in mind, just staying abreast of like the newest things, the newest technologies that come out of it. Um, as you see, like even with Google, Amazon, a lot of these different companies are having or utilizing AI and trying to improve their processes and try to make things, whether to automate, main thing to automate, and just trying to make things better, try to make really try to take out, uh, try to deliver maybe a product in a more efficient fashion. So, but yeah, it's definitely something that I really pay attention to.
So I'm gonna take a couple of steps back, because one of the things that I read in your bio when you actually was saying, that there were some issues of people that look like you and I getting into cybersecurity.
Sure.
Is it that can you tell us, like, do you see many people that look like us own those companies, or is it the prevention of us actually getting the knowledge to start those companies?
So I would have to say, and with as you mentioned with my podcast, the Cyber Coffee Hour, we've actually had the opportunity to even interview um, a couple of members who started their own companies, particularly rooted in AI. One in particular that comes to mind. We just recently we had Mr. Ryan Smith. Um, he started his AI company, so we had a great conversation with him and just just how he gets started. Of course, going through the rigors of entrepreneurship. But but no, from what I've seen, I think I would say probably my biggest thing is that I want to make sure that especially the next generation that's coming up and wanting to get into this space and into this field to understand that this is for them that they can do this type of work as well. 'Cause I think probably the biggest problem that I've seen is that they don't see enough of us that looks like them doing this type of work, so they may get discouraged, or to say, or they may feel like they're not smart enough, which I definitely don't think is true. um the main thing is like, which I firmly believe, if it's something that you truly believe in that you want to pursue, and that's and then definitely you have the smarts and know-how, don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Definitely go out and pursue it. So and another thing I'd say also is that within this field, especially, there's a lot of what I've noticed is a lot of camaraderie, especially when you get on a group, especially like on LinkedIn. So when you're putting yourself out there and saying, "Hey, I'm doing this type of work," or I'm doing this startup," um, you'll see a lot of folks that respond, and for one, be very encouraging, and then also you may have like minds that maybe want to help and maybe offer their expertise and maybe trying to do some type of work collaboratively. So that's something I've seen and been very encouraged. I've experienced that myself, as with the content I put out, not particularly with AI, but just work in general. And then I'll get the response has been great, where people want to work or try to help and try to further that. I say that mission because that's something that they believe in. It's something they believe in themselves, and they want to see it get to the next level. So um I see quite a bit of that. It's a lot of, I'll say, collaboration, a lot of uh there's a lot of focus, when it comes to trying to get established within this field. I think a lot of people feel like, or the general consensus is that, like, this is the time for them to really take their talents and really showcase it to the world. So whether they do it themselves, or they link up with someone else and try to work together and make it happen.
Oh, wow. Well, I think that's a really good thing, because I think nowadays, especially not just within the IT specifications, but there are a lot of industries that have been out for a while, where just a cross-sectional part of doing stuff with IT, like manufacturing,
Mhm.
that turns out to be really, really important. And so that even goes to, let's just say, somebody starting an IT company that wanted to collaborate with somebody that's doing transportation that wants to do some manufacturing. How do you think the cross sectional parts of different industries that's dealing with IT? How do you think they intersect? Do you think a lot of them can actually be mainstay, or is it short term?
No, I definitely believe it's mainstay. And I see quite a bit of that, where you see a lot of, uh, I'd say, cross pollination almost. Where yeah, you do see like the mixing of those maybe two or maybe dissimilar fields, but they fuse together with by cybersecurity. Um, So no, I see that type of work. It happens quite a bit, and honestly, it don't like it. I'm very encouraged by that because then it opens the door for more collaboration, for more talents to be recognized and showcased. Um, and for me, I'm always in awe by that because I learn so much just watching others and what they do and what they're capable of doing, and even the topics that they may cover. It's very intriguing because for one thing, I have to say is that especially within cybersecurity, there's so much to learn. The technology is always changing. It's even hard to say you could be an expert because you may learn one particular aspect of cyber, and then something new comes out and maybe trumps that. So you're always learning. You have to stay active. So whether you do that by listening to podcasts or doing newsletters, shows like this, on YouTube, things of that nature. So you always want to make sure you're staying ahead of like what's going on, and then when you see different talents out there, again, from my experience, and it's not to say that the opposite is not there as well, where you have those that don't want to help, or maybe have those, maybe they may be envious and don't want to see you succeed. There's that too, so I'm not naive to that. But so far in my experience, I've seen within the community, it's a very encouraging. People want to help each other. They want to understand and try to help each other get, if they have someone has like different organizations they have stood up, they want to see if they can help and how they can be part of it. Because I from what I get is that, especially when you seeing um brothers and sisters that look like us doing this type of work, they want to help you get to the finish line. So whether if however they can help, in any way, they want to help you, especially if they believe in your mission and what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish. How are you going to help the community as a whole? If they buy into that, they want to help. Naturally, they want to help and see you succeed. um so yeah, so again, I'm very encouraged by that, and like to see I love to see more of that as opposed to the opposite, where again, I don't I'm not naive to the fact that that does exist, and but I try to keep myself focused on those that want to help, and like I said, just help take that mission further.
So tell us, what inspired you to pursue a career in cybersecurity?
I would have to say I was so it really evolved from IT, and from when I was young. I have to say I have to give credit to my uncle. So growing up in Mount Vernon, New York, my uncle at that point in time, he lived in New Jersey, like Patterson, New Jersey. And so when I was young, we would always visit. It was about like an hour or so drive. Father would take us to visit, and whenever I visit, go into my uncle's house, he always have like PCs, monitors, keyboards, mice, all over the place, and I was always in amazement, always in awe, and I would always ask because he was always working on something. I can't tell you, I don't recall his exact title, but kind of looking back now, I'm sure he was like a IT technician, I'd say, but I don't know his official title back then. I was just too young, um, but no, he was always working on something, and it always caught my interest, and I was always glad that he was able to answer my questions, and it didn't he didn't get too annoyed by it, but he did take the time to answer my questions. And but no, and that's what really got me intrigued, and where I wanted to learn. And then I took that. um I would take PCs, like old PCs I had, whether laptops, the tower PCs, take them apart, try to learn how they work, and just tinker, just mess with things, and just trying to understand it and figure it out. Um, so yeah, so then from there, it just really evolved. So something that I did on the side, and at that point in time, when I was in the Air Force, I my job was not IT or cyber. Honestly, I don't think cyber was even a thing back then. It was really mainly IT, but I did HVAC, and those who don't know, that's heating, ventilation, air conditioning. So I did that for my 4 years in the Air Force, and then when I got out, my first civil government position was with the Veterans Affairs Hospital in East Orange, New Jersey, and I still did HVAC then for about 5 or so years. And so during that time, I was studying for my bachelor's in computer information systems, and and I was applying, trying to get into my first IT position. And I have to tell you, like, it took me at least 7 or 8 times before I finally broke through. And I'd have to say that made me appreciate it that much more, because I know the failures I had to go through in order for me to finally get that one success or that one yes. Um, and then from there, just had to get in my first IT job. I was doing pretty much like IT, essentially IT help desk. So I was an IT specialist, but no, and my first supervisor, I would say he was very integral into the the care and feeding of my career, because anytime there was any project or anything like that, I always raise my hand and say, hey, I like to volunteer and do it. Because for me, I was green, I was new. I wanted to learn, and my coworkers back then, of course, more of the veterans, they'll kind of bellyache, like, oh man, I don't want to do that. But for me, I say I'll do it, because like, who am I to turn it down when I don't have any experience?
Mhm.
And no, so and that's how I learned. That's what really helped me to really learn and really grasp the material. And so yeah, and he took note of that. He witnessed that. He understood that. He watched me, and then I think he really spent more time with me, give me a lot of advice. He always, like I said, he would start looking out for different projects that he felt would help me to develop, and I always appreciated him for that. And and as I moved on, and I bounced around within my career, but as I moved on to each step of my career, we stayed in contact. He's retired now, like in Florida now, but I still keep in contact with him, let him know like just how I'm doing and just like where I'm at, currently in my life and then my career, because I firmly believe that really showed me then like how important mentorship is. Um, now given, so sometimes supervisor may not always be your mentor, but your mentor could come in many forms. It could be a family member, it could be a supervisor, it could be, I don't know, your best friend. I don't know, but it's someone who's pouring in positivity and encouragement and truly want to help you. Really give you good advice to help you succeed. To me, that's a mentor. So it could be younger, older, same age, doesn't matter. If they know what they're talking about and they genuinely want to see you succeed, those are the people you really need to listen to and keep close, because they can help you, like I said, get to that next level in your life and also in your career.
Well, tell us this. Well, do this one thing for me. Define cybersecurity.
Cybersecurity, succinctly, is risk management. Um, Cybersecurity is your, especially whether within for a company, organization, school, what have you, is how much risk you're willing to accept or mitigate or really ignore, honestly. So so many times now we've seen, we see on the news like different organizations, you hear about breaches and this of that nature, and sometimes it can be very embarrassing when you hear about how they got breached. Like they're not even following like basic cybersecurity practices, like just not even changing the default password or maybe lock on a router or something. That's risk, because by you not doing that, you're exposing your, whether it's your household, your company, your organization, school, what have you, university, whatever the case is, you're exposing your institution to a level of risk. And if you're not taking the appropriate steps to, cybersecurity measures. So in this example, if you're not doing something as simple as changing the password on your router where maybe your employees are using and maybe working with maybe sensitive information or very important information that would be detrimental if it was leaked out, you're taking a risk. So essentially, it just really boils down to risk and how much an organization is willing to accept or try to mitigate.
So let's say when it comes to, let's say like a small company like mine, okay, I have no employees, but I have 5 different computers. How does cybersecurity benefit me, and how would that work?
Well, for one, I think with pretty much any organization now that's getting established, you you're gonna involve some aspect of cybersecurity, um, especially if you're going online. As soon as you get an IP address assigned, you're introducing cybersecurity, and then by default you're introducing risk. Um, I think that's where company owners that are maybe getting started with a company, and it may have nothing to do, maybe their focus is not cyber, so you don't have to be, your focus doesn't have to be cybersecurity, but when you're operating online, maybe you're selling clothes or selling a different product online. You're gonna have to be online. You have a website, maybe you use the social media, you have your accounts, your bank accounts, making sure they're using two-factor authentication. You want to make sure you keep your account secure, to where you're not putting yourself susceptible to theft and fraud. So all that, it still involves some aspect of cybersecurity. So as an owner, um, if you're not well read into uh, the full dynamic of cybersecurity, then that's where consulting comes in. Hire a cybersecurity consultant, one who can come in, evaluate your system, see what you're exposed to, that they can examine the vulnerabilities that you may be exposing your company to, your network to, and then they may provide an assessment. That now it's, and again, it ties back to risk. As an owner, you take that assessment, but you don't want to do anything with it. You're like, you know what? I don't want to pay for that. I'll just accept the risk. 2 days later, then you hear about this big breach here in the news because you didn't take the measures to secure your network. Again, that's why I say it's really no big definition. It's just risk. it's, it's risk. It's just how much you're willing to deal with, how much you're willing to accept, and also what you're willing to mitigate. So in that same example, if you're willing to mitigate the risk, you say, okay, you take the assessment, you see the things that a cybersecurity professional pointed it out. Okay, I need to make sure I get this firewall installed. Okay, I need to make sure I'm using two-factor authentication. Okay, I'll make sure I'll do that. Now, it's not to say that you're going to be impervious to any cyber attack, but you're making it that much harder for it to happen. It's almost like living in your house, and when you turn on your alarm, but you leave your front door wide open. Okay, your alarm is on, but anyone can still walk in. So it's the same kind of deal. Don't leave your digital door wide open. Make sure you're securing it, especially something. And also, like, if you have your business, I don't have to tell you. I mean, it's something that you worked hard in getting developed, established. Like, why would you want to make it easy for someone to take advantage of? Take the proper steps, get it secured. And again, if you're not familiar with how to do that, that's where cybersecurity consulting comes in.
So when you mentioned this risk, and when you think about, let's just say like, with me doing the show tonight,
Right.
and let's say I've got, I'm used to my computer popping. All of a sudden, it starts slowing, and so in the process of doing the show, let's say we get maybe halfway through a show, and then all of a sudden, it seems like things start like just going haywire, you know, and
Okay.
it's just up and down in this drag and so forth. How would cybersecurity have prevented that from happening?
That, well, for one, you'd have to, you have to understand what the problem is. You have to understand, um try to get an understanding of what it is, because not everything that happens is necessarily going to be a cyber attack. It could just be, maybe you just ran out of memory, or it could be something simple like that, where it doesn't necessarily have to be any nefarious action that happened. So that's why troubleshooting is very important to really get to the root cause of what caused the issue, as with the example you just gave. You don't want to just fly off the wheels and say, hey, yeah, it's a cyber attack, someone's trying to attack you, and but then you'd be unnecessarily paying for any sort of tools, investing money and things you really didn't need, because that didn't address the issue at hand, because it wasn't evaluated properly. So troubleshooting is very important when we're talking about cybersecurity, um, to make sure that you understand what the problem is, get to the root issue, and make sure that you're correcting the problem itself. And then from there, then you're able to evaluate and monitor, and make, confirming that was an issue, and then you're able to move on. But no, the biggest thing when we talk about cybersecurity, when we have issues like that, as you mentioned as an example, is the big part is troubleshooting. You have to have very effective, um, thorough troubleshooting to make sure you're correcting the problem, and uh, not something else, or misdiagnosed, I'd say. And then you may put money into something, but okay, that's great, but it still didn't fix the issue that that I have. So again, effective troubleshooting is key, in that.
Okay. How has your background shaped your approach to cybersecurity?
My background, especially now for me, in my position, um, leading my division, I've had the experience where, um, I've had different, uh, experiences, or different, leadership, where I've had leaders that want to, they try to, oh my gosh, I'm sorry,
Control. They want to control things.
right, yeah, 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 they don't lead, they don't come from a place of, I guess, passion, I'd say. They they're pretty much just using their title, and say, I'm the boss, and you do this, you do XYZ. And so with that said, you have that has a negative effect on those that you're trying to lead. And when we're trying to talk about trying to, um, work towards that one mission, for an organization, you still relying on people, to get the job done. I've experienced, good and bad leadership. So with that said, like I said, yeah, bad leadership, or maybe unfavorable leadership, where you're not getting that much. It's just really just barking orders, what have you. And as a result, as an employee, you're just checking the clock. Okay, 3 o'clock hits. All right, I'm out. You're not a second later. Now, on the flip side, you have leadership who really cares about the people, and want to make sure that they're excelling in what they're doing, giving the proper resources, what have you. The after effect of that is that the employees are now, they want to they're ready to run through the wall for you. They're ready to go above and beyond. That their work is going to be that much better. And that's what I take in, is that, um, that's where I believe in a human centric, leadership, when it comes to my division and the people that I lead, is that I truly believe that if you treat the people right, you're gonna get maximum effort. You're gonna get better work. Um, you're gonna have those that's just really gonna care more. They want to do. They're gonna love what they're doing, and they want to do it for you. It's almost so. I'll give you this example. So for me, I'm a big sports fan, and I think cybersecurity and sports are not that dissimilar. Where you have a team. So say for a basketball team, a basketball coach maybe has 15 guys on the team. His mission is try to get those 15 guys from different schools, different races, different backgrounds, all to work as one towards that common goal of winning the championship. So there has to be a level of buy-in. There has to be a level of buy-in from the coach's philosophy to say, "Hey, if you do it this way, we can win." So I think the same thing applies within cybersecurity. When you have cybersecurity teams, you have your set mission of what you're trying to accomplish. Whether you're defending networks, for your local organization or maybe a more grander scale for the country, you want to make sure that the people that are doing this, that you're entrusting to carry out this important mission, that they're able, for one, they're able to do it, but also too that they have the proper resources and they have the proper mental state, mentally healthy, to do the job, to do the work. They don't basically don't want someone, you don't want to have someone to come into an environment and they feel unsafe. They're not going to focus on that. They're going to be worried about, oh man, my boss is going to yell at me if I don't do this XYZ, whatever, and they're not going to do the work right or whatnot. So it's definitely very important that we we have the people that are doing the work, that they're entrusted to do the work. You give them the proper resources and just let them thrive. And then if you see areas of where they can improve, help them. Whether it's proper training, um, get them with mentoring, things of that nature. Well, like whatever the case is, you help them to achieve so that way they could be, for one, they'd be better employees, and also two, then when you get better employees, you have a better team, and and as a whole, you're able to put out a better product and better work. Especially when we talk about very high impact, um, very important missions that they need to be carried out. So taking care of the people within your cybersecurity teams is very important. It can't be ignored.
What are the current challenges facing the cybersecurity industry?
I would have to say it's probably one of the biggest ones I've seen right now is I think the after effects of COVID, when it pertains to the job market right now, because I think we're seeing so many layoffs, um, and it's in big numbers from these organizations, because I think as a result from during the time of COVID, there was a lot of hiring, and I would say maybe over hiring, and then now as the markets and everything of that nature kind of stabilize now, a lot of these organizations, they realize, oh man, we can't keep up like this. We're starting to operate as a loss, so now they have to start laying off employees, and it's really in big numbers, honestly. So with that said, it makes trying to get into try and get into an organization and try to secure a position makes it that much harder, because a lot more people, the market has become more saturated, especially when we talk about entry level. And when I gave my example from when I got started, I felt that was truly entry level back then. Entry level today is not what entry level is, 10, 15 years ago. Entry level now is like they want you to have at least 3 to 5 years of experience in a CISSP. And those who don't know, the CISSP, one of the more advanced cybersecurity certifications out there. Like I'd say probably one of the gold standard certs that's out there. And they're expecting someone with no experience to magically have 3 to 5 years and have that advanced cert under their belt before they start working on any sort of network or component. So I think that's really absurd, and it's unfortunate because a lot of folks who are very hungry, that really want to get started in this field, they they have those roadblocks, standing in their way, and it's very unreasonable. And also too, like, you may have other organizations now that they want an employee to be this unicorn, to know all these things as pertains to cybersecurity, to have all this varying knowledge. And I just don't think that's I just don't think that's reasonable or realistic, honestly. Because I've seen, and that's what really pushed me to again with my podcast to hear those stories where those who trying to get started um, in the field and what their struggles are and what they experience. Um, Especially even it pertains to women, I think women, especially alone, have a particular their own unique struggle trying to get into trying to get into the cybersecurity field, and I don't believe it gets highlighted enough or talked about enough. Um, so that'll probably be the biggest thing that I've seen is the job market, probably the biggest challenge right now, um, and just trying to get there needs to be work done as far as when we're talking about these entry level positions, and I don't know whether that's I believe probably say HR has a part in that as well because so again it's just unrealistic for someone who's just getting started um, to have that amount of experience already just starting out and the prerequisites what they want these individuals to have just to get in it's just not it's not realistic and honestly it's unfair so it's something that needs to be changed and I will say I am encouraged by our new cybersecurity national cybersecurity director Harry Coker he wants to make some changes which I'm in agreement with where he wants to remove like the education requirements or at least ease them to where you don't need to have the 2 or 4 year degree and because in my experience I've worked with individuals who don't have maybe the highest degree getting into to work this field but they're very smart they know what they're doing they know how to work these systems so some of them they've worked on them ever since they were young and they just know it and they don't necessarily need maybe that certification or that degree to get in um so I think it should be and for it may sound funny someone for me because I myself I have my doctorate in cybersecurity but for me I didn't pursue it with thinking that I need to get this degree to get a job. I was already working in the field already, but for me, it was just a personal challenge whether I can do it or not. But for those again, for those who are getting in, my biggest advice and what I share with my mentees is that when you're looking to get into your first job, your first cybersecurity job or IT job, maybe looking at help desk, um, look at the requirements, see what they're asking for, maybe go a little bit above their requirement. Um, and then when you do get in, when you do get that first, when you're working in your first organization, make friends with your training department. Get to know and say, hey, I want to pursue this certification, I want to pursue this degree, and have your organization cover you. Because the main thing, as long as it's within your same job role, it's related to your job role, what you're doing, then it should be fine. Of course, funding is always going to be the main thing, but as long as funding, everything else is cool, and supervisor sign off, then you should be good to go. I wouldn't. Yeah, I just don't want people to go crazy thinking they got to have 5 6 different certs and all these degrees and it's not and I don't say that in a disparaging way. If that's something you want to pursue, then yes, do it, but don't feel you need to do that in order to get in.
Well, then let's go to this next question here. Can you discuss any recent cybersecurity trends or developments?
So I think I kind of touched on this earlier. The biggest trend right now is AI. I had the privilege recently to attend the Google I/O conference out in California, and that's really been the biggest thing with the events that I had to that I had the privilege of watching, and the panels that I got to listen to, It's just really seeing how AI is going to really transform our everyday processes and how we can use that for to our advantage and how it's being implemented into our everyday work. Um, I would say one of the biggest tools I saw was for at least from Google perspective was Gemini. So I, those familiar maybe with Chat GPT, Gemini is pretty much like their equivalent, Google's equivalent to Chat GPT. And you're seeing more organizations start to develop their own chatbot, AI chatbot, AI assistant, what have you. More organizations are trying to use AI, like I said, into their everyday processes and how to automate and make things more efficient by using AI. Um, e- Even organizations like now, I've seen Canva, Grammarly. A lot of these different organizations now they're implementing AI into their work plans and just try and make their processes more efficient. So that for me right now, as I mentioned, yeah, AI is probably the biggest trend um, right now.
So let's jump to the side here for just a second. How you're an entrepreneur? Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. So when you decided to branch off into entrepreneurship, what was your thought processes of actually using, IT, cybersecurity, things of that nature in your business in order to develop it and grow? What were some of the things that you implemented that you felt would make your business successful?
Um, well, for me, I look at it from a different lens. Just given the work that I'm doing, I'm more conscious in the security of the tools that I use. I'm more I pay attention more as to maybe what programs I use or don't use because I may know a tool may be vulnerable to an attack. Uh, a quick example was the password manager to maintain our passwords related to the for the podcast.
Mhm.
Guess I don't want, man, I don't want to put him on blast, but we had switched from one and from one password manager because we had to switch from LastPass to what we use now, Bitwarden, because we saw the recent attacks. They had significant breaches under LastPass, and just watching that closely, I was like, man, we got to move over. We got to get out of this. And so I think after the first one, we made the move and switched over to Bitwarden, and and then surely enough, we felt validated in that because then there was another attack that had happened. I think there was a couple, probably at least two or three more incidents that happened since then with LastPass. Um, so just using that example, just being more in tune of like what is happening, like what type of tools to use or to avoid, because of that, to make sure that I do harden the systems and make sure to protect the data that we're using to make sure that it is protected. Um, and again, you're trying to, like I said, mitigate that risk. You're It's not to say you're going to be impervious to it, but you're just trying to do your best to make it that much harder for something to happen. You don't want to make it easy. So yeah, the different tools, even like social media outlets. So like right now, like certain outlets we just refuse to use because um, just being in tune of like their security practices, what have you, just not in agreement with it. So we just rather just avoid it altogether. So it's just having a different lens, just paying attention to different things, and maybe like another owner who may look at things in a different way. They may not see a problem with it because again, they're not maybe security conscious or security focused when it comes to that. Um, what we want to make sure, like, so for instance, like email encryption for like certain data that you're sending, or any documents you want to send over, especially anything that's sensitive, you want to make sure that it's encrypted. A lot of, I would say, a lot of maybe non security focused entrepreneurs maybe not be thinking about that. They're just thinking, okay, I just want to send an email. That's it. I just want to make sure it gets to so and so, and and be done with it. But someone like myself and other, I'm sure other professionals can attest to this, is that especially what the data contains, you want to make sure that security is up to par. You can't just rely on certain systems, if they're not, or maybe organization, I say, if their security practices are not up to snuff, you want to avoid it. So it's just having that keen eye, just looking out for different things, and just paying attention to it. And again, the biggest thing is you want to protect the data, because the data is what is really gold, honestly. Because without it, you're pretty much, you don't have anything, because everything we're doing is online. And data is the most precious commodity. So you want to make sure you're taking all the steps you can to make sure it's being protected. So again, you just pay attention to, you taking appropriate security measures. You want to make sure that you're using the right tools, knowing when to pivot. If you like, if you're using a tool, and you're using it one day, and then you see some things changing, okay, we gotta make a move. Just like I said, just being in tune of like what's going on, what's happening, and understand, have that, like I said, having that eye, and just making sure, again, that at the end of the day, that the data that you have is being protected at all times.
So, if you can you tell our audience, some tidbits as to, you was just mentioning like little pieces and bits of things that happen, but can you give our audience, some tidbits as to, some things to look for when it comes to cybersecurity, or when they want to keep their systems protected?
Yeah, sure. So, for example, like if you're dealing with any, of course, like you're sending back maybe important or sensitive documents, you want to make sure that you're using an encrypt, making sure those documents are being encrypted, using digital signatures. Um, uh, for example, like Adobe has a native security measure where you can encrypt the document, lock it down with a password before you send it off to someone. Because if it just so happens it does get intercepted, you do have that second layer of it's pretty much called defense in depth, where you're just adding a different layer of security into your processes. So in this case, you're encrypting, locking down a maybe important document that you need to send to someone, um, add in a password, add a digital signature, and that way you're giving that highest level of encryption, and making sure that is getting to from point A to point B, securely and safely. Um, for passwords, you want to make sure you're using strong passwords. And I know it could be, it's tough, but you want to use at least eight characters, alphanumeric, including any special characters. One of the biggest pluses with using a password manager, and again, I would recommend Bitwarden. Also, there's another good one too. If you use Proton, Proton is a very good tool, and they have a very good suite. Their email application is very good, very secure, and they do have applications such as, so not just the email, but VPN, and I'll get to that in a second here. They have VPN. They also have their own password manager and calendar, but they're all with the highest level of security and encryption. So you want to make sure, especially, so let's say maybe you're doing research on a very important topic. You want to make sure your research is being protected. Something like, any researchers out there will definitely know that the data is very important in that case, as you conducting your research, because a lot of times that research study may take is over the course of a few years. So you definitely want to make sure it's being protected, and you're able to access it securely. Um, when you're, and I get touching on to the VPN, you want to make sure your internet connection is safe and protected, and when you're conducting business. So let's say you're conducting your banking and what have you. You want to make sure you're using a VPN to protect, to make sure that you're protecting your connection, and that way attackers can't infiltrate and try to snoop into your session and try to, pretty much see what you're doing and collect important information like your banking, the router numbers, what have you. Um, Also, you don't want to make yourself susceptible to any sort of attack like ransomware, and things of that nature. So you want to make sure you're protecting your internet connection whenever you conducting any sort of business. Um, even when you're even when you're maybe out and about, you're traveling, maybe taking a plane, and it may be very easy to use the other free Wi-Fi, or maybe you're in a coffee shop like Starbucks to use the free Wi-Fi that's out there. Don't. Those probably the most unsafe methods of for Wi-Fi. Instead, if you can, you use I mean, our phones now, especially, they will have their own VPN, or where I don't know why the name is blanking me now, but basically, when it comes to when you use like public sources of internet connections, that they're very insecure because they have no password on them, so anyone can get on. And you definitely don't want to conduct any sort of sensitive business, as I mentioned, like with your banking, or anything like that. You don't want to do something like that where you could really expose your data to attackers, where it's just very easy for someone to just look in and be able to steal that sensitive data of yours. So you always want to make sure your internet connection is always secure at all times, and avoiding connections that don't have any security. You want to make sure you're paying attention to that as well.
Okay. So, would that be a suggestion for how businesses could better protect themselves from cyber threats?
Absolutely. I mean, it's, yeah. You want to make sure you're, at the bare minimum, you're following the basic cybersecurity practices. Again, like if you're, as I mentioned earlier, about if you have let's say like a router or switch, what have you, and any of those networking components that you have that are part of your network, make sure you're changing those default passwords, things like that, because those default passwords are easy accessible by anyone. Once they, basically like this, like once they know, attacker knows what model that you have that you're running, maybe in your house or your organization, those default passwords are the same. So if you never change them, then that means that attacker, you just made it that much easier for an attacker to infiltrate your network, and seize any data that you have. Or if your organization, maybe you leave yourself susceptible to like ransomware, where they lock down your data, and now you have to pay an exorbitant amount of money to retrieve your, to possibly get your data back, because it's not guaranteed. You could pay that money and still not get it back. So especially if you're dealing with real bad actors in that sense. So no, yeah, you want to make sure you're taking appropriate measures to protect your business. Make sure you're protecting your like how you conduct your business. You want to make sure everything is secure. Um, and it's really, you want to make sure you just get into those good habits. And maybe unlearning some of the things that may have known, going in, and just paying attention to like what's the new standards when it comes to cybersecurity protection, for your business. So whether you want to take it upon yourself, and you can read up on the latest NIST documents, but again, that's something maybe more so for like a cybersecurity professional that'll take care of that. And that's why I say again, if you really want to make sure that your organization is up to snuff, have a cybersecurity consultant come in, evaluate your network, and give you a full assessment, and then from there you could take the appropriate steps to make sure you're hardening your network and protecting your data.
Well, tell us this: what role does education play in cybersecurity awareness?
Education plays a big role. I mean, as I mentioned, cybersecurity is always the topics, um, the avenues of cyber is always evolving and changing. So if you're not keeping yourself up to date, abreast of what's new, the latest technologies, the latest threats, that's also a big thing too. Is also you want to make sure you're keeping yourself educated on the threats that's out there and what those threats are capable of doing. So maybe certain practices that were acceptable maybe 5 years ago that may not be acceptable now because these threats have found out a way, adversaries have found out a way to counteract that. So you want to make sure you're keeping yourself up to speed of like what's happening, what's going on. So education does play a big role, a big part in cybersecurity. Because honestly, without that, I I mean, if you're not keeping yourself up to speed, then you either retired or you just don't care because because I mean that has to be it because like again so much happens, too much happens, it happens too fast within this field for you to not stay up to speed, or keeping those that where individuals on your team where it's their job to make sure that they know, keeping those type of people on your staff to make sure that they're staying on top of those things for your organization. Well, ultimately you do have to make sure you're staying abreast of the latest trends, technologies, adversaries, threats, threat actors, what have you, because it's always changing. You know, security measures are being broken, so they, practices, as I mentioned, practices that was acceptable yesterday may not be acceptable tomorrow. So you always have to make sure you're keeping yourself educated on what's going on and how to best protect your company or your organization.
In your present day, since you've been working in cybersecurity, have you seen an actual company that has been catastrophically hit that basically destroyed all of its infrastructure?
I don't think I can share that.
Okay, well, understood. Point
Yeah.
taken. Point taken. Well, let me move on to my next question. In your opinion, what are the most significant cybersecurity risks for individuals?
Uh, the biggest cybersecurity risk is not paying attention. I think just being ignorant to what the latest security measures are. If you're not securing your accounts, if you're not being conscious of like maybe what Wi-Fi networks you're connecting to. If you're not putting a password on your own home Wi-Fi network, you're not changing those default passwords again. It kind of really comes down to the basics. If you're not, like I said, if you're not implementing those basic things, you're leaving yourself susceptible. You're kind of, again, when we talked about just leaving that digital door wide open, that's essentially what you're doing if you're not paying attention to how to best secure. If you really value what it is that you have, if you really value your data, especially when we talk about entrepreneurs and the and data is gold. You want to make sure it's protected. When we talk about, I could even speak to like academia, those who are doing research projects over the course of years, that's a big deal. You don't want that to be left, y- uh, leaving it open, wide open for attackers to come and infiltrate and to steal. Um, I know I would have a nervous breakdown if my dissertation was destroyed in the middle of my studies. I mean that anyone going through that would definitely understand that. So, but no, yeah, you just want to make sure that you're not putting yourself in a position where you're gonna be vulnerable. You want to make sure yeah, at least taking the basic steps, the basic measures to protecting yourself, your data, especially if you're talking about your family. Make sure you're using, make sure you're updating your routers for within your home network. Make sure you're installing the latest updates on your devices and things of that nature. Just like don't ignore it. Like when you see like different updates that pop up, don't ignore it. Install it. Make sure all your devices are running the latest firmware. Because and there's a reason for that. The reason why there are updates out there because the the previous update may have had a vulnerability, and the company or respective organization is pushing out those updates to mitigate that. So you want to pay attention to that. Make sure you're always updating. Like I said, updating your devices. All understand like what's on your network. Take charge of like be the system administrator of your own home. Understand like what devices you have, knowing because you want to make sure you understand your attack surface. So what I mean by that is understanding like every single device that's connected to your network, and then you see anything that stands out or like that looks like an anomaly, you need to shut it down. But you have to take account. You have to be conscientious of like what is going on with your network, and make sure you're taking steps to protect it and harden it. Um, using maybe if you have like an old router at home, maybe take some time to think about maybe investing in a new one and getting it updated, to make sure it has the latest security measures on it. So it's just things like that. Like it's just really, again, it's like you're just becoming like your own sysadmin, for your own home network, and again that applies, of course, for organizations. Just making sure. I mean, policies are in place when we talk about that, like universities or corporations. There are policies that at least they should be in place to make sure that the enterprise is being protected at all times. So those actual sysadmins are making sure that the devices, the computers, printers, what have you, are they're for one that they're all being updated, and then make sure that they're being protected. To have the latest encryption, like I said, the latest firmware, what have you. Um, ultimately, you're just putting yourself in the best position to really be successful. Honestly, I think that's what it really boils down to. You just want to make sure you're protecting yourself, protecting your devices, and protecting your data.
How can individuals enhance their personal cybersecurity practices?
Um, you, Probably the best ways is what are you consuming as far as when it comes to like cybersecurity? So whether it's like, and I think I kind of touched on this, where you're listening to maybe different podcasts, you're reading news articles, just subscribing to e-newsletters, what have you, that are focused on cybersecurity, that talk about the latest trends, the latest, um even the latest breaches, like the latest news that's happening, just having an understanding of like what's going on, so that way you are well informed. You're more well informed to take action, and to say, hey, oh, this may directly affect us, or my corporation. I need to take these steps, or maybe I need to talk to that consultant, that cyber consultant, and say, hey, I need you to come look at my network because I think this may affect me. But without doing those things, then you're leaving yourself susceptible, because like I said, the news happens every day. Things change all the time. So if you're not paying attention to what's happening, you're doing yourself a disservice. Whether it's your home network or for your organization, you're going to do yourself a disservice by not just staying in tune of like what's happening. So that way, you're more well informed to take the appropriate action to help to best secure your networks.
What advice would you give to aspiring cybersecurity professionals?
My advice is to always, for one, maintain a growth mindset, because as I mentioned, like within this field, things are always going to be um changing, evolving, you want to make sure that you are have that open mind to learn and absorb new material. Um, you want to make sure you get in tune with mentors, someone who's experienced in the field that can help guide you and shape and help you, you know, along your career and give you advice as to the best steps that you need to take. Some, you know, I think a real good mentor will sit down with you and understand like what it is what that you want to accomplish, because cybersecurity as a whole is a very um it's a very broad term. There's so many different lanes within cybersecurity. Um, so once you have an understanding of what it is that you specifically want to do, that I think having a mentor there will help you understand. Okay, you want to pursue this type of position, or maybe these are the certifications they need to pursue, or maybe the degree you may need to get, what have you. Because having that strategy will, for one, to help you save money. Because you just don't want to be taking tests, you know, and taking certification exams for no reason. You just spending and cert exams are not cheap, especially now. I think they get more expensive. So you don't want to waste time and money on certs that you may not even use because it has nothing to do with the path of cyber you want to pursue. Um, so again, just having that strategy, understanding what it is specifically that you want to do, and just have that targeted approach going forward. Um, being also, you know, if you're not ready to, if you don't have that mindset where you want to study and continually learn, I'd have to say then cyber may not be for you, because without having that, if you're not really out there really trying to learn and try to understand new technologies, new trends, what have you, you you're gonna have a hard time, I'd say. Not to say it's impossible, but it's gonna make it that much harder. So if you know yourself and you know that, oh, man, I really don't want to read about XYZ every day or whatever, then honestly it may not be for you. And you would just really save yourself a lot of time. But you have to understand, you have to commit. I think that's what it really comes down to. It's something that you really want to do, something that you're passionate about. So if it's, like I said, you know, someone maybe want to do like cyber threat intelligence, you know, someone could, you know, spend a lot of time and reading up articles supporting that, and really maybe doing like maybe home labs, what have you, just really showing your expertise. And also that's very helpful when if you're pursuing, you know, when it comes to like interview time, when you're able to demonstrate some of the things that you put out on paper that you could do. So yeah, it's, like I said, it's really a commitment to the field, commitment to learning, honestly, because there's so much to learn, and um, things are always changing, evolving. You have to stay on top of it, and making sure that you're using appropriate resources to keep you informed as you progress in your career.
So, just point blank and period, is cybersecurity necessary?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Absolutely necessary.
Yes, sir.
Okay. How do you see the future of cybersecurity evolving?
I yeah, and I know we talked about it. Like when it comes to with AI, I really see AI having a big say in that when we talk about cybersecurity evolving, um, just how we do our work, and also too how we're dealing with threats. Because so not only just for on the defensive side, you have threat actors that are using AI to carry out, you know, different cyber attacks and make it easy for them to try to carry out different things. So it's a double edged sword. So it's, I do see AI playing a big part of just how we do things, whether it's good and bad. And also, and I hope I don't make people feel like, you know, everything that pertain to AI it's going to be bad. And 'cause I know that narrative is out there too, but AI could definitely be an advantage. It could be used for good. It really boils down to who is feeding those AI systems with the data. Um, if you're using AI for benevolent reasons, you're going to see the goodness in how AI can and really help and evolve and make things better. But of course, as with anything, there's always going to be the flip side where someone will use it for nefarious reasons as well. So I don't think we can never really get away from that. I think that's always going to be there, no matter what it is. But I think the main thing is just being prepared for it, being ready for it, have that readiness, and just learning and that's why I say again, just having that mindset, willing to learn and understand new technologies and trends. Because as I mentioned a couple of years ago, cloud was the biggest thing, and then fast forward to now, AI is. So and then who knows what, maybe 5-10 years later what the next trend will be. So it's always changing, it's always evolving, and you just want to make sure you're keeping yourself up to date, and you're you're putting yourself out there to learn, and also and also networking. And that's probably one thing I probably neglected to mention is creating a great creating a big network, a deep network with those who experts in the field, and I would say even just really those from all levels, whether CISO, CIOs, or those mid level, or and even those who are just getting started, because I think also that helps you to be more well rounded, and help you not lose perspective on things, because you're learning it from you learn in different angles from different perspectives. So creating a great networking, getting out there, understanding, working with others who are working in this field, and learn from them. Getting an understanding of like what they've seen, what they've been, maybe their organizations have been exposed to, and just really taking it back, and getting that, and is really that brain trust. Just learning, and and that to me will help motivate you to become, I say, like a better engineer or just a better cybersecurity professional, because now you have those people within your circle who are, like I said, very focused, well informed, and it just makes you want to step your game up. That's probably, I would say, probably the biggest thing is to make sure you're networking, getting out there, those that are very, like I said, very well versed within the field, um, and that way they can share that knowledge with you, and then you can use that to benefit yourself, your company, your organization, and then also help the next generation that's coming behind you as well to keep that going.
So, what do you say to the people out there that are watching this that have concerns in this evolution of AI, that AI is going to replace people? What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I definitely understand that, but it's we the biggest thing when it comes to that, we always have that fear for things that we don't have a full grasp on, or full understanding on. Um, I mean, perfect example was COVID. I know that's not a cybersecurity component, but when COVID-19 first came around, um, didn't have any. We didn't understand what it was, or even would it even affect us. Is it just like a regular cold or flu? And of course, as time went on, we definitely understood that wasn't the case. Um, so yeah, you do have that fear because you had the unknown. You don't know what's going to happen, how it's going to affect you if you do catch it. Is it an immediate death sentence if you catch it? And it's it's again, when you don't have that understanding, but then as time went on and we get to research it, understand it, we're able to get a grasp on it, and then now, um, and it's not to say that not to make light of it, but we're able to handle it better, have a better understanding of it, because now we took time to understand it. So I think when it comes with AI, we have to take time, and that's why I implore people to really take time to really study and understand, and maybe go to workshops, go to conferences, understand what AI is really about, understand machine learning, take courses and classes on there's so many different resources that are out there now, like Udemy, Coursera, LinkedIn Learning, with courses on AI. There's so much material that's out there. Even YouTube, you can find courses or presentations that are being done centered around AI. As I mentioned, for myself, when I attended Google I/O, again, the biggest theme during that trip was AI. So just learn from different leaders in the industry, experts who are working with it, understanding like what is being done, what are the trends, um, and also that may even inform you of maybe your career choice when it comes to cybersecurity. So maybe say, hey, you may take an outlook in, for maybe a certain position of cyber that you were originally going to pursue, and maybe that position it's not going to make as much as someone who's maybe like an AI technician, what have you, someone who specialized in AI for an organization or AI cybersecurity. It may inform your decision. Maybe say, hey, maybe I want to shift gears and learn more about AI, so that way I could be that valuable person for an organization. I could be that AI person for a school or organization or corporation, because I've taken that time to learn about it and understand it and be able to help defend against a unique threat when it pertains to AI.
Well, see, just to add a little bit more to that, because I think about when you say the unknown, and that causes
Right.
a lot of fear and things of that nature. But when you think of AI, I mean, it's already been projected that people that are in the parts of the financial arena, that companies are already preparing to replace them with the AI. So, I mean, I can understand, the things that we don't know. I mean, yeah, you do want to get to know them and so forth. But, I mean, what would be the certainty, for an enormous amount of, especially the work population, that you're not going to be replaced with AI? What is the certainty on that?
That now, I guess that is hard to say, because the purpose of AI is to make processes more efficient, faster. Um, you do, and that's why I feel like you do have to pay attention of like what's happening, what's changing, what are things that are coming down the pike. And now, I will have to say that I think some positions may be changed or fused together to try to save in a cost saving measure, depending on what it is and what's needed to get done. But also at the same time, you do still need people to operate those AI focus programs or processes. So and that's what I mean, is that trying to get ahead of the curve. If you see something, especially when it pertains, if you have an understanding of like your job role or whatnot, it can be easily usurped by AI, where it can easily be done where you don't, not to say it can't be done by humans, or it doesn't need as many humans to do it. That's something you have to pay attention to. I think I just don't, I guess at the same time, I don't want people to just feel just be ignorant completely of it, and it's like, the job is safe. You do have to take an honest look and see like what is happening, especially if your organization, let's say you have a team and say, hey, we're looking to get this new AI program to handle XYZ. If you fall within XYZ, then you I think that's where you need to perk up and say, hey, do I need to cross train? Do I need to upskill? Do I need to maybe make a move to be that person to operate that AI program for the organization? Um, I think you do have to, again, you do have to pay attention to the trends of what's happening, and then make the appropriate move as necessary. Um, because I mean, these programs are, it's not to say to replace every job, but there will be some sort of consolidation where an AI can handle a process faster or more efficient than humans can. I think of like with Amazon, their robots within their warehouse. You still need someone to operate those machines, but yes, the robots are able to lift heavy things without complaining. Don't need to take breaks, whatnot. Um, but again, if so, let's say you've been working in the Amazon warehouse for X amount of years, and now you hear about these robots doing the job that you're doing, and they can do it much faster than you. Okay, maybe I need to shift gears and be that operator for those robots. So I think this you have to kind of change the thinking and like I said, pay attention to the trends.
Okay, my last follow up to that is because this is how thought provoking technology has become. Because let's just say, and as you mentioned earlier, this AI slash technology,
Right.
it's actually updating, upgrading every minute, every second. Okay, so if it's constantly upgrading, and let's just say, we know that there are segments of the country right now that's already implemented, as you mentioned before, fusing two jobs into one and creating new job titles.
Right.
You know, so even in the process of doing that, it sounds like eventually, that could be in the next 15, 20 years, that um, that the AI is basically going to be controlling what the world is doing. And it doesn't need a handler, because the way it's updating now and it's on that constant flow, that is getting smarter, faster every second. Every second. Why should people not worry about that?
I still believe humans are still needed. I don't necessarily believe that AI or AI machines or we're just gonna be living in like that Will Smith movie, I Robot, where we just have robots all over the place. I don't believe that. Um, again, it's just really like I said. It's there will be like you will see as organizations in their move to try to be more efficient. They will try to um and consolidate certain positions that can be done faster by uh by AI or machine learning, but they can't replace everyone. You still need humans for because machines don't have any sort of they don't have emotion. They don't have that human effect when dealing with others. So I mean, there's still I just for me it's hard to believe that AI will completely take over. Um, and again, and that's why I feel it's just really taking time to understand like what AI really is, and like I said, go to some workshops, take some classes on it and get an understanding, um, link with some experts in the field that are working with AI with their corporation organizations every day, and get a better understanding like what it is, and that way it helps to dissuade the um what's being perpetuated, whether media, what have you. But then you're able to get a fully better understanding of it, and that fear you may have, it helps to subside it because now you're understanding. Okay, AI maybe is only capable of doing this, or you still need depending on the organization, you still need humans to carry out certain aspects or some certain things with AI is just not going to be used at all because it may make it too vulnerable, for maybe the data that it could potentially touch. Um, yeah, it's hard for me to say that uh, it's going to replace everything. I don't believe that. Um, Especially when we talk about I know like within within the government, certain government agencies are looking to, to use AI. But I know for sure that still being very careful, because when we talk about, maybe certain agencies that dealing with protected information or classified information, that getting the wrong hands with AI, that could be detrimental. So you still need humans for certain aspects of different processes. AI can't replace everything. AI, I look at AI as a tool to get job done. Is not going to it's not going to replace a whole human. It's a tool to help us get to accomplish a goal, or to accomplish a task more efficiently. But it's not to say, all right, my AI robot is going to go to work for me while I chill at home. Like it's not going to be that. At least I don't believe so.
Okay. Can you share any memorable experiences from your career in cybersecurity?
I would this kind of going back to even my first job, when I worked at the VA. We had this printer. It was this HP 2015 DN printer. I still remember the model. So we had this deployed within the VA network. We had these model printers, deployed out, and we had an issue where it like after a while it just would stop printing. It has something to do with the formatter board, and I took some time to research it on my own, and I found someone on YouTube who found a fix, and the fix consisted of, opening up the printer, taking the formatter board out, and actually baking like putting the board in an oven for X amount of time. I can't remember now. And then after you let it cool, you put it back in the printer, and then now it's starting to print again. It has something to do with the solder. It was like a defect with the solder. Um, excuse me. On the board itself. So like it got loose or over time, and then it wasn't making that connection anymore. So when you're heating it helps to reseat, or reestablish that connection for the printer, to allow that communication for the printer. So when I found that, I had the video, the exact video that I showed my supervisor, and I said, hey, I found this fix, because it was a real problem. Like all our tickets were like half of our tickets were concerning that specific printer.
Mhm.
And so I asked him, I said, hey, can I take one? Can I take one home and test it out? And again, this was my first supervisor, and he gave me a lot of leeway. Because he saw how focused and determined I was, and so he gave me the green light. Said, hey, all right, you take one printer, try it, and let me know the results. So I took it home. It was like a little home experiment, and I tried it out. I took the formatter board out as it did in the video, and sure enough, it worked. I was able to print. I was actually able to print again. So when I brought it back, I was excited to report the results to him and say, "Hey, all right, you're gonna be our baker guy now." Because he's so when we had those issues, so that's what I would do, at least until we were able to get a more permanent fix. And but no, that was something that was very memorable to me, because again, I still remember that, all these years, because and again, it's a testament to how important, having a mentor is, someone who believes in you and really trusts in what you can do and what you're capable of doing. Because, so let's say the flip side of that, if he didn't have that trust in me, it's like, nah, nah, you ain't doing that. Then you're stunning someone's growth, stunning, you're not allowing someone to grow and really, for one, allowing someone to really like make mistakes, to learn and be able to grow. And I think that that's an issue nowadays, when it comes to those who are trying to pursue you know, trying to get into cybersecurity. I think hiring managers are not patient anymore. Like I said, they want those unicorns, you know, those who can do it all. They're not patient to allow someone to, like I said, to fail. You know, allow someone to fail and to learn from it and get better. I don't think that happens too much anymore now, which is unfortunate. But that's what really stuck out to me, you know, all these years is that, you know, that experience. I thought that was is like I said, it was a learning experience, and it helped me to get better. It helped my curiosity and really shaped, you know, how I work, and you know, just being curious and just working through things, troubleshooting, and just really going through it to not just give up after, you know, one instance like, oh, it's broken, all right, I'll just leave it alone. I think that experience really helped shaped how I view things, and just knowing that when you encounter problems or issues, to really, you know, really dig deep and dig further, understand, do your research, do the work, and see how you can get towards that solution. And you know, whether you do it yourself or you're working with others, but just taking that initiative and just doing the work, and like I said, you'll be so proud of your results once you finally get it, because now you can say, yes, that was something I did.
Now, tell our audience, what does cybersecurity mean to you?
Cybersecurity to me, um, it means intelligence, innovation. Um, things are always, you know, emerging. I'll say emerging technology. Um, because within this world of cyber, there's so many. It touches so many different aspects of our lives. You know, whether we like to admit it or not, it does affect us in multiple ways. So you don't need to work in cyber to know that it does affect you, or in some form or fashion. So, um, and for me, just having the privilege of working with, you know, very talented, intelligent individuals who do this type of work, I'm always learning. I never consider myself that. I feel like I've, I guess, quote unquote, made it per se. I feel like I'm always learning, and because I always want to get better, you know, and there's always someone who knows that much more. And, you know, just, I think just being humble and understanding that, and just having that, you know, having that mindset, that growth mindset, and also too, just being coachable. You know, you know, don't stand on pride where you feel like, you know, so and so can't tell me how to do this. And no, man, if whether, regardless of title, class, creed, what have you, age, whatever, if they know what they're talking about, I'm gonna listen. You know, that's what it boils down to. Um, and I think that's the beauty of it, honestly, is that um, you can find talent in, you know, it comes in all shapes and sizes. When it comes to this field, you find those who are very passionate, you know, those who've been doing it since they were young. Um, and it really shows in the type of work they do, you know, whether through their home labs, or maybe they create their own YouTube channel, or they write their own blog or things like that. And they, because they want to share that their knowledge that they have, that they've acquired, and they want to share it with others. And that's something I really enjoy. I love to watch and witness. Uh and I give you an example. You know, I guess what one of my guests recently had on the Cyber Coffee Hour. um her first name is Abandona, and she's 16 years old, and she's killing it right now in cybersecurity. And when I saw her, you know, the content that she was putting out on LinkedIn, I was like, man, we got to get her on the show. And no, and it really showed. And she we had a great conversation with her, and she even treated us with a demo. You know, doing working with a try hack me room, you know, for us. So I thought it was really cool. Like I said, I'm always amazed, just um, the pure talent that comes into this field. Those who really, um, really want to the passion that people have working in this, and again, they want to share that knowledge and just working with others. So it's um yeah. So for me, man, it's to me, cyber is everything. It, it's always evolving, it's always changing, it's always getting better. You never know, like who's going to be the next, I guess, expert. I guess because y- as I mentioned, you got someone as young as 16 or even younger, or those who've been doing it for a long time and been in the game for a while, and they're imparting that knowledge, want to share with others. So it I'm really glad to be doing this work. I'm grateful to be working in this field, and that's what motivates me to where I want to share my knowledge, everything that I've learned. Um, because I know I'm not going to be doing this forever, but I want to at least play my part in helping shaping the next generation of cyber professionals as we move forward.
Well, I definitely would love to work with someone that has that attitude and that personality that you just mentioned that you have, because I say the same thing despite how old I get. I'm always dead serious.
Yeah,
I'm always willing to learn. I love learning
right.
because as I learn, and it doesn't matter what it is, the diversification is what's so relevant to me, because being a finance guy and having to maybe make a shift to get into this IT tech world.
Right.
It's fascinating to me because there's so many things that you can do, and there's so many lanes. That's how multifaceted it is. And so I think when you work with somebody that's willing to learn and to share knowledge and things of that nature, it makes a work environment totally just perfect.
Absolutely.
What happens when you got that one person or those two people that don't want to respond to that? How does that change it?
Well, it doesn't it has it naturally would have a negative effect on the the working environment. And I've experienced that, where you have, as I mentioned, just having that, working in great environments and some not so great. Um, it does have effect on everyone, not just maybe one or two individuals. It has a overall effect. It affects the morale. It affects the chemistry. Um, Again, as I tie it back to sports, I mean, one of the greatest teams had the best chemistry. They were able to work together and get the job done. So it's really no different within cyber. Like if you want a cyber team to really excel and do well, you got to make sure that you have the right personnel. Um, I think unfortunately at times you may have those who are very intelligent, but they're not great working with people, and that's an aspect you cannot ignore. So not just the skill set may be on par, but if they don't have those soft skills, be able to talk and actually interact with another human being in a respectful manner, um, even as a manager, you do have to take that into account and say, hey, maybe this person is not right for our team. Yes, they may have the skill set, the requisite knowledge, but if they can't work with others, it's going to bring down the overall morale of the team, and we just can't bring them on board.
Yes, sir. This is the final question for you. What are the essential skills for success in the cybersecurity field?
Yeah. Essential skills for success in this field, I think I touched on it, is just having that growth mindset, being willing to learn. Don't stand on pride, man. If you have someone that's knowledgeable and is able to share that knowledge with you, take it, learn, be coachable, you know, um, be humble. What I'm saying, like, um, don't you, just being able to receive, especially to receive criticism, whatever it is. Of course, I'm not saying if someone is being disparaging you, I'm not saying to be disrespected. That's totally different. But no, if someone is helping you and trying, and the overall mission is to make you get better, take that into account and learn. Take the time to, if it's something within cyber that you really want to pursue, take the time to learn about it. Connect, create that strong network, connect with others. Maybe if you can go to some conferences. And it doesn't have to be any big ones. Like, go to something that's local. You start out doing that or doing some local meetups. It doesn't have to be nothing too crazy. Just putting yourself out there. Learn, like I said, and also even using this platform, LinkedIn. If you're one that, if you're on social media but you don't really utilize LinkedIn much, maybe this is the time to maybe dust off that LinkedIn account and put it into use. Because I think that's a great way, especially if you're looking for other professionals that have that um, work within that specific lane of cyber that you want to work in. I think LinkedIn is probably one of the best ones that you want to use. So you want to do that, create that network, develop those relationships, and because you never know, like later down the road, where they may come in, where you could lean on those relationships, whether you're trying to get into a job or you're trying to advance in a job, and they may have some contacts that can help you along the way, and also vice versa. It should always be like a two-way street. The mentor mentee relationship. It shouldn't be just, you're just pulling from the mentor all the time. You should be able to give back as well. Because that can get very old quick. So yeah, you want to make sure you have a great working relationship with a mentor. And uh and like I said, as I said before, you just making sure you're staying in the know of like what's going on. You can't be ignorant in this field. You have to know like what's the latest, what's happening, or at least even staying connected to those who know what's happening, so that way you can learn from them. It don't really all come down to learning. You're always in a constant state of learning, even as you have alluded to before. You always want to make sure you're learning and having that mindset to, like I said, that you never feel like, okay, I'm done. You get one thing, you may accomplish one thing, is okay, what's the next thing? Because adversaries are always working to attack us. We got to have that same type of mindset where we're always learning to get better, improve our defenses, and just improving our overall cybersecurity posture.
Well, I'd definitely like to thank you for sharing your time with us. Is there anything you'd like to leave to our audience, food for thought, when it comes to IT cybersecurity?
Yeah. So last thing I would say is that, if you're considering getting into, work within cybersecurity, and it's definitely an area that you want to pursue. For one, don't let anyone try to dissuade you or tell you any different. Whether, if they don't believe in you or whatever the case is, then I would say, for one, that they may need to take into account that maybe need to change friends or change your your circle. Um, but ultimately, you want to, if it is something that you want to do, that pursue it. Go for it. Um, say your goals out loud. If that's something that you want to, like I said, it's a certain position within cyber that you want to, or a certain, aspect of cyber that you want to pursue, go for it. Say it out loud, and do the work that's required to make that happen. Um, it's not going to be, of course, a night and day thing, but if you're constantly putting in the work consistently, you're connecting with folks that you feel can help you along your way, along your path. You put in the work as far as your studies go, your own self education, where that's in the form of, degrees or, certifications. Um, like I said, just do it. Arm yourself as best as you can. That way you're learning about the material that you want to know about, and you just make yourself, for one, you make yourself a true asset for any organization that you encounter. So I think right now, when you want to get into this field, you just put in the work. understand it is going to be hard work. It's not a get rich quick type of thing, as I think a lot of cybersecurity, unfortunately some messaging is kind of like that right now, which I think is unfortunate. But no, just know it's gonna take time. It's gonna take work, and if it's something that you really want to do, it shouldn't come that easy. So, um, like I said, just put in time, put in the work, grow your network, be in a constant state of learning, and don't give up till you get there.
Would you like to leave your contact information?
Yeah. You can email me at drjjbmj@gmail.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn. Just look up my name. You can find me on LinkedIn, and we could connect there.
Again, I want to thank you, Dr. Joseph, for actually spending some time with us, getting us abreast and updated here on this cybersecurity, because I know it's definitely one of the most important things, and it is the thing right
Yes,
now.
sir.
It is definitely a thing.
Yes, sir.
So, with with that being said, I mean, I hope that everybody is thinking about, in some shape, form, or fashion, of getting involved in what Dr. Joseph was just sharing with us, because it's very important to know that as we advance into the next century, that we definitely have this going forward, because this is the thing that's propelling our future. So I want to thank all of you that watched the show tonight. Those that watch on YouTube, I would appreciate it if you would please hit the subscribe button as well as the notifications button. So anytime you miss a show, you will always be able to go back and watch that show. And so again, I want to thank Dr. Joseph. I want to thank all of you for
Thank you.
watching. Have a wonderful evening, and we will definitely catch you all tomorrow. Have a great evening.
Good evening. Thank you.